Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot the top 7 reasons why your refrigerator door is sweating. Stick around to the end of the video for an important tip that can help save you money. But before we begin, we're going to make sure the appliance is unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off the water supply underneath the sink. Condensation or sweating is caused by warm air and cold air mixing, and the moisture is drawn out of the warmer air. Usually this is caused by something on the refrigerator that's going bad and causing an air leak. Before we go through the list of parts that could be causing the problem, here are a few things that you can check first. If it's extra hot or humid, this could cause abnormal sweating. It can also be caused by opening and closing the door a lot, or if the refrigerator temperatures are set too low. The energy saver function can even cause sweating, so try turning it off if it's not needed. The first thing we need to look at are the door closure cams. They're what the door rides on when it opens and closes. Door closure cams come in various designs. They're usually made out of plastic and have an upper and lower cam. They provide a smooth surface for the door to ride on and help it stay open and closed. If your refrigerator has them, the lower one is usually mounted on the lower door hinge and the upper one is mounted on the door. If the cams are cracked or damaged, they may not allow the door to close properly, and this will allow the warm and cold air to mix, causing the door to sweat. You'll probably also hear a plastic on plastic grinding noise. Check to see if there's any damage or wear, but chances are, if the doors aren't closing properly, then at least one of them has gone bad. Sometimes they're sold individually or as a set, but it's recommended that you change them both out at the same time because you don't want to mix an old part with a new one. If you need to order a part, simply go to AppliancePartsPros.com and type in your model number. Find your part on the easy-to-read diagrams and match it to the number below. Click on the part if you want to see more pictures of the item or watch its repair video. You can also scroll down to see DIY stories from customers like you, or ask a question in the Q&A section. Once you're ready, you can add the part to your cart. It's that easy. Most orders will arrive within 2 business days. Next, we're going to look at the door closure levers and cams. They help with the auto opening and closing of the door. Door closure levers and cams allow the door to open and close properly. The door closures are usually made up of a lever and a cam. They work together, but they're sold separately. The lever is usually mounted on the cabinet, and the cam is mounted on the door. Depending upon your refrigerator's design, they could be mounted on the top or the bottom of the cabinet. The function of the levers and cams is to help automatically hold the door in the open position and also to help close the door as you swing it shut. Like the closure cams mounted on the hinge pins, if these fail, the door may not close and seal properly, allowing warm air and cold air to mix and the door to start sweating. Once you locate them, inspect them for any damage and replace any parts that have failed. Now we can look at the ice dispenser chute door. It's what opens to allow the ice to come out of the dispenser. There are many different designs of ice dispenser chute doors, but they all do the same thing. They open to let the ice out when you press the dispenser arm, then close and seal the chute when you're done. The door is located in the dispenser area, usually behind the control panel. If the door is damaged or its seal has failed and it isn't sealing properly, it could allow cold and warm air to mix, causing the dispenser area on the door to sweat. In order to inspect the door, you'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. Once you have access to the door, inspect it for damage and replace if needed. Next, we need to look at the ice dispenser solenoid. It opens and closes the ice dispenser door. The ice dispenser solenoid is a small solenoid that opens and closes the ice dispenser chute door. It's made up of a coil with 2 terminals and a plunger that's attached to the door arm. If your model has one, the ice dispenser solenoid will be located in the dispenser area, usually behind the control panel. If the solenoid has failed and the ice door isn't closing properly, it could let warm and cold air mix, causing the dispenser area on the door to sweat. You'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. Once you have access to the solenoid, depending upon which style you have, you'll need to disconnect the wiring harness or remove the wires so we can test it for continuity. In order to see if the part can carry an electric current, we have to test it with a multimeter set to continuity. Once you have it set, touch the probes together to make sure it's working. If you have the solenoid with the wiring harness, you'll have to insert a test probe into each side of it. If you have the other type, you'll have to touch a probe to each terminal. You should have continuity. If not, the solenoid is bad and needs to be replaced. If the ice door is stuck all the way open, check to make sure that the plunger moves freely. If it's stuck, then the solenoid probably overheated and swelled up and is stopping the plunger from moving. If that's the case, you'll have to replace it. As always guys, hit those like and subscribe buttons now to help support us making more of these videos. Now we're going to check the dispenser door spring. It helps the dispenser door close. The dispenser door spring is a small spring that puts pressure on the dispenser door to close and seal it. The dispenser door spring is located in the dispenser area, usually behind the control panel. If the spring is damaged, the dispenser door may not close and seal properly, and it could let the air mix and cause the dispenser area on the door to sweat. In order to inspect the spring, you'll have to use a putty knife or a small screwdriver to release the control panel frame. Once you have access to the spring, inspect it for damage and replace if needed. Next thing to look at are the door gaskets. They seal the refrigerator doors. They usually have one flat side with a magnet, while the other side has a rib that mounts it to the door. They seal the door when closed to keep the warm air out and the cold air in. The gaskets are mounted on the outer edge of the door. If the door is sweating, it could be that the gaskets are either really dirty, especially along the bottom, or it's deformed and allowing the cold and warm air to mix. Inspect the door gaskets and clean them if needed. Sometimes the gaskets can get deformed, usually on the hinge side, so you might be able to use a hairdryer to heat up the gasket and reform it. It's rare, but sometimes the magnet inside the door gasket can fail and the magnet just won't hold on to the cabinet anymore. You should feel the magnet hold as you start to open the door, and it should hold on to the cabinet when you close the door. If the magnet's failing, the door gasket's damaged, or it's so badly deformed that you can't get it straightened out to allow the door to seal properly, then you'll have to replace it. Last thing to check is the Mullion heater. It heats up the frame to prevent sweating. Mullion heaters are small heaters that heat up certain areas of the refrigerator. They're usually a small electric heater on adhesive foil. On newer French door models, they're part of the flipper door. They've been used in many different places over the years. Some older models had them in the door. Some had them in the area between the two sections behind an access panel. The French door models had them built into the flipper door. If you have an area that seems to get sweaty, no matter if the energy saver is off or on, you should test the heater for continuity to see if it's failed. The most popular style of Mullion heater right now is the kind in the flipper door, so that's the example we're going to show. But no matter where the heater is located, once you have access to it, they're all tested pretty much the same way. Flipper doors are usually attached to the main door with screws. You'll have to remove the flipper door, then disconnect the wiring harness. To test it, stick a probe into each side of the wiring harness. If the heater doesn't have continuity, then it's bad and needs to be replaced. Now here's that money-saving tip we mentioned earlier. If your freezer compartment isn't getting as cold as they used to, and your ice creams are getting soft, it could be that your condenser coils are dirty. Dirty coils can cause the freezer to run warmer than normal if the condenser and other components are covered in dust and pet hair. Dust and pet hair can insulate the coils, preventing them from working efficiently. This can also make the refrigerator run more and cause wear and tear to those components. Keeping the coils clean can improve your refrigerator's efficiency by 30%, so doing this can save you money on your electric bill and future repair costs. In order to clean them, you'll have to pull the refrigerator out and remove the rear access panel. Then carefully clean the coils. Keep in mind that some may be accessed from the front. You may have to use a condenser cleaning brush to reach in there. Also, while you're back there, clean the compressor, condenser motor and fan blade, and wipe down everything else. Be sure you're careful not to damage anything, and make sure you do this at least once a year. Once you take care of the problem, you can plug the appliance in, turn the water back on, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another troubleshooting video brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons now, and if you have any questions or want to share how your repair went, leave a comment down below.